Hey everybody, Danny Maude here. Thanks for joining us. Have you ever wondered why you struggle to get any real consistency with your ball striking? And whenever you try and get any extra distance, you're putting loads of energy in, but you just don't seem to get those rewards. Well, understanding how your hips work, how they work to store energy in the backswing, how they fire, how you're supposed to fire them in the downswing to unleash that energy into the back of that golf ball. Understanding how these work, but more importantly, learning how to feel how they work so that you can repeat it time and time again is so important. And this week's golf lesson, I'm going to show you exactly how you can do this. Now, before I get into the lesson, if you're new to the channel, this is one of your first videos of mine, please consider subscribing. Press that little bell button, the next subscribe button, you get notified every time I release a video just like this one. Plus, you never have to remember a thing. I'll put a free downloadable practice plan in the description box below so you can go away and enjoy. Great, so what role do the hips play in your golf swing? A big one. Watch this. So the golf swing is an arc. The club starts here. It works back around on an arc. It works back to impact and then again on the arc. Your hips simply make this arc easier to achieve. They help you generate more effortless power and accuracy. And how do they do that? Well, if you don't move your hips effectively, let's say imagine they're locked in, which I see so often with so many golfers, is you can still create some sort of arc, but you're having to manipulate with a bit of wrist motion in here. You try to do it with your shoulders, then you're trying to put a lot of effort in. You're not able to store any energy, and therefore you're not able then also to release it. So what your hips do is they create space to recruit all of these bigger muscles so you can store energy in the backswing. Once you've got that energy there, they then literally create space on the way down, look, so that you can use that energy and fire it into the back of the golf ball with a good, strong, stable club face, so you get accuracy as well as power. But how do you feel all this? Watch this, real simple exercise. You've got to understand the term hip turn is misleading. Your hips in reality should be you want to see them as working out of the way, like walking, yeah? Very linear style fashion. Look at this. My hip goes back on the way back, and then on the way through, it goes back away. It's clear space, simple as that. When you're trying to turn, this is what I often see. People try to turn their hips. Look at the difference. Look what it does to my body. It throws my body off here in the backswing, which makes it very difficult to get back to the golf ball. Then on the way through, if I'm trying to turn them, I'm like this. Either get stuck here or I'm lunging over. Watch this. One, yes, there's some lateral motion. Two, imagine if all the hip turn was just a moving out of the way. One, step, two. So much more consistent. Let me show you how you can feel this. So we'll start with a process. I want you to follow this process all the way to the end of the video. So start with this. We're not turning the hips, we're moving them out of the way. So we need to learn what that feels like. You simply put your trail foot back to get the sensation of that hip being where? Backwards. And simply hit some shots with that hip being back there. Look at how easy it is to create, you've created all this space here to create a decent amount of turn. Now look, you've got all this space to simply swing beautifully on the arc. So you've stored energy and you can bring that energy back to the golf ball on the correct arc. Let's have a look at this in action. Okay, so a nice little strike from the inside. Should draw a little bit to the left because I'm coming from the inside. There we go, look, should come down to the flag now, right? So nice simple shot where all I've done is create an energy and I've stored it and I'm bringing it back into the golf ball, right? Now, you could just stay there, get the sensation of what it's like to have that hit back and hit some shots and leave it there. Then what I want you to do, move on to the next stage, because the hips don't just move back, they also move up, because we're trying to create this extension here. We go down to the golf ball and then we fire up again. So it's up, down, up. So the next stage is to make that motion simply more dynamic without having to think about it. So watch this. We're going to step back, dynamically step up. So step up now. So literally you're using that step just to kind of force the body to go up, right? Storing energy, moving back down. Nothing more than that. So now you get the feel of it going back and how it dynamically works as well. Let's have a look at this. So start normally, step up, and through. A little bit clean that one. Will it reach? Will it reach? Will it reach? Oh, just creeped on. Got it a little bit clean. But what you do is you spend some time now feeling the dynamic motion of those hips. So step back, step up. Really feel you're loading the power. The next stage, before we work onto what the hips do on the way through, this almost is the little bridge between the next stage, how you clear those hips. Now you've got this kind of stepping and dynamism here. You could use that dynamism to help the follow through too. Watch this. Well, just as you're walking, right, do you walk like this? No, this is what we call an extension. What you do is as this goes forward, the lead hip goes back. So as this goes forward here, what happens to this one? It goes back. So watch this. Now when you're here, just feel it, you're really pushing. And this is your start of your downswing. So as I drive down here, I'm pushing this way, that hip goes that way. So I'm literally going up, push forward, bang. So I'm creating, this is a great way, if you ever struggle with drawing the ball, this is a great way to put that draw spin on it, all right? So this is the next stage before we work on this, the hip motion on the way through, but this in itself will transform the hip motion, right? So watch this. This time we're gonna start back here. We're gonna sense, look, I'm almost rocking back, and I'm just going forward, feeling that step going this way. So I'm using that ground and this hip going there to really help that downswing and transition going through. Let's have a look at this in action. So 1, 2. Should see a lovely little curve in a second. There it goes. Coming back, nice little draw into the heart of the green. Nice and simple again, right? So that just those 3 stages will be amazing for you to really sense loading the power and then starting the transition to try and get that power going through. Next thing you could do is to feel what it's like to be on the way through. That itself could be transformative, but you could then start this. Feel what it's like to have the hip back with your lead leg. This isn't as powerful when you do this exercise, but it doesn't matter. It still gives you the sensation of what it's supposed to be like, gives you the destination. So here we go. Feel what my lead hip is like on the way through being back, and I hit a couple of shots from there. Let's have a look at this. Now I'm probably going to see the ball curving a little bit more this way. Yeah, right? So this for me is often a good drill because I have to overdraw the ball. So this is a great one for me to kind of feel what it's like to have the face kind of opening up a little bit, right? But it's all we're doing with these exercises is helping you feel the destination of those hips. Where are they supposed to roughly be? Well, they're supposed to be back, right? So when you start to move your feet back to normal and you start to transition this way, we go step, push them back, step, push them back. You're getting a sensation that they're working 1, 2, 1, 2, just like walking, yeah? That's all you're doing in the golf swing. Now it's so much easier to make those swings. Do you know the final thing here? It's also so much easier to stay in your posture because when you're turning like this, you're kicking this hip up, you're coming out here. Watch this. When you're doing this, I'm able to simply stay in my spine inclination to the ball. Simple, right? So once you've got those sensations, you might even just want to hit balls like that before you go back to normal. But then you can start to just do one at a time. Just literally feel those motions here. Focus maybe on the backswing one initially, not both. And then away you go. Here it comes. Oh, just missed it on the right-hand side. Maybe I should have my foot back. It seems to be a lot better. So let's just summarize. What are you doing? You're trying to kind of, in a sense, understand how those hips work. You want to create space naturally. You want to create the accuracy so you're not moving around through the shot. How do you do this? Very simply. Start with your foot back to feel what it's like there. Feel what it's like to have the hip back. Hit some shots with that motion. Make that motion dynamic so you don't just get the hip back, but you also get it working upwards, right? There. Bang, hit some shots, going backwards and forwards. Then downswing, use that sensation also to maybe rock it back like this a little bit so you can feel the foot working to generate the hip motion this way too and the opening of that hip. Bang, that will really help you create some draws and also it helps you to open them up naturally. Lead foot, you do the same thing, draw it back, feel what it's like to have the hip back here, same principle. And I'm being mentioned about the vertical coming through. When you're pushing back, the same principle happens. There's a step here and you're pushing up off that there. Way too complicated initially. Just focus on those simple things here. 1, 2, and away you go. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, maybe share it with some of your friends who you think could benefit from a video just like this one. This one I see as so important. I really, really do. So many people miss this. They lock these in, their legs go to sleep. I've often said they're almost like in cement. Really get those legs moving. It'll be very, very beneficial. Remember, there's a free practice plan in the description box below. And of course, look, if you're new to the channel, this is one of your first videos of mine, please consider subscribing by pressing that bell button and the subscribe button. But until next week, have a wonderful golfing week.